deer being chased by a coyote?
I'm not sure.
Because that's a tail track over there.
I think you're right. Try and get those berries in there too. Because there's a bunch behind them if you shoot right at the berries as well. That's nice.
After a pretty warm fall, we finally got a blast of winter and are enjoying this new black and white world. We love the winter and how bright and clean everything looks. And this winter we got a bona fide reprieve before we start the big build in the spring. So we're enjoying walks and smaller projects that we previously set aside while we worked on bigger projects that had a significant impact on our day-to-day. The river is finally iced over and our gazebo is frozen in place. Next year we may need to find a way to remove it from the water, but until then, this seems to be working. We want to find a better way to secure it in the wind when it's covered. We are back to getting water from the river to fill up our trailer for showers and dishes. Our barrels that catch water are frozen now. We're both looking forward to a time when we have water on demand all year round, but until then, this is one of the ways that we exercise in the cold months.
Hey everybody, Mailbox Flag 2.0, now with actual working. What we noticed was the original design was just another drumstick. This is a drumstick, and I had a drumstick coming perpendicular, joined up into this central block, like just a little 2-inch block. And then all I had done is fed it through the hole that is now here where this piece of drumstick is that I flush cut sawed off. And the problem that I'm finding in general with any of my little DIY kind of make it up as you go latches and locks and things is anything that you have that's relying on wood as like an axle and other wood. Perhaps to some of you this is painfully obvious, but wood swells. So it gets wet, gets moisture, swells, binds right up, and it got to the point where our poor the mail carrier come to deliver the mail. I don't think he could bend the original flag more than like a couple of inches in either direction. So it wasn't really doing its thing anymore. Not obviously a major issue, but we figured we'd address it with, again, our free winter time. So I had 2 pieces of heartwood, well actually 1 piece that I cut through the middle. This was left from some endy pieces that my dad had given me. He had a friend on Manitoulin Island, a high-end carpenter that was working with a lot of mahogany and rosewoods and really expensive exotic woods. And you know, when you're making furniture and stuff like that, all the cuttings, the leavings, they just throw them out in the fire. And although they're too small to make more furniture with, it's great for hobby wood and yada yada. So I got a kind of a stockpile of that, not a lot, but because it's a nice red color, I decided I used an old piece of oak, did a bas relief of the maple leaf to replace the flag that we had. I did some notches, like just basically tongue and groove to bring the sides of the flag in together, glued it, and then used the same drumstick that I had before, but instead this mechanism, a little more high-tech, if you will. This wooden block is two pieces, sandwiches a bolt in the middle, so I just drilled a small cavity in the one half to set the nut in, just tapped it in with a hammer so it was nice and stiff, and then drilled a little bit into the other cavity, sandwiched them together to hold that nut in place. Having drilled a hole right through from the one side, that is where this bolt enters, and then all that is left to this is a piece of drumstick from the original axle that stuck out the side. I just cut about 2 inches of it, drove it into a hole that I drilled with the Forstner bit into here. So now the bottom half of this piece of oak that I sandwiched between some washers and nuts, that will hit the drumstick and stop at the horizontal roughly, and then when you go to set the flag up, the same drumstick will stop this piece from extending further past. But now, because it's a bolt and a nut inside that piece of wood, it's nice and loose. I set it up so that at the top of the throw, it actually cinches up tight inside against the wood on the inside of this block. So as you get to the top, it's actually fairly stiff, needs a little bit of force, and that's just so the wind doesn't blow it down or doesn't fall down on its own. But that's our big project today. Well, in the last couple of days, here and there.
Just like fire, no denying. I know we won't be late. Sky may be gray, there might be rain. I have to say, I know I do lean on faith. Darling, you know, wait for me and I'll come home. It's not a simulation. I'm still dreaming, falling deeper within. This love is an ocean wide that never runs dry.
Howdy folks, pardon the mess. We are just in the middle of blinds 2.0, so I have built this new frame. It's all done with box joints. I glued it with PL, clamped it, just finished planing around the corners and edges and off the joints to clean that up. I'm going to have to give it a proper sand and finish. The problem that I'm going to contend with now is partly forgotten, partly in the end I'm kind of glad I did it the way I did it. I assembled the whole thing and glued the frame first before putting the louvers in. Last time I did this, it was just 2 slats on either side, and I just sandwiched the louvers in between and then pushed it in and mounted it into the frame. But then it was immovable, and then we realized, how are we supposed to effectively clean our windows and get at them to remove the screen and a number of things. So since we ended up having to remove the window entirely to reset it when we were having those issues, we're back to this and a new solution. So a couple different ways to do this. What I've chosen to do is try and make this a crazy wide sliding open door hanging on a piano hinge. A little nervous about whether it can bear all that weight. This is all cedar, it's fairly light, and the frame itself is made from cedar deck board, so it's like a western red cedar. You know, for cedar it's fairly fairly dense, fairly solid. But now that the frame is already built, the problem that I'm going to have is twofold. One, the louvers are just a little bit too long now because originally this was flush to the frame here. Now I need to leave about 1/8 of an inch on either side because it's going to be a door. I need a little bit of clearance. So I have to shorten each of these louvers. Also, the thing that I didn't contend with is I don't have any fancy hardware like a spring-loaded dowel or anything. So the question becomes, after the fact, how do I get the louvers into the frame? So a couple of ways you could do it. I could, go through my various boxes of junk and little doodads and trinkets and see if I can rustle up enough spring to make some spring-loaded dowels. So the idea would be drill all my holes into the frame like I had previously. You feed the louver in on one side and then push the dowel in and then slide it into place, and then once you get it over the hole, it'll pop in and voila. Problem with that is it becomes tricky to get them out if you have to get them out. So I'm going to go with a somewhat overly intricate but low-tech solution. What I'm going to do is, once I've cut one side off to shorten the louver, I'm going to re-drill my dowel hole here at the end. But what I'm going to do is over drill the depth of the dowel hole to be roughly, well, it really just has to be the length of the dowel, and the extra is probably about 1/2 inch or so, like the amount that the dowel sticks out. Then once I have that done, I'm just going to use one of my ultra sharp carpenter knives to literally just slice a groove through the backside of the louver so that I can put another little peg into the dowel. And so what the idea will be, I can just manually slide it from behind, get it into place, slide it back in. There might be other ways to skin this cat, like I thought of. If I had thought of it beforehand, what I would have done maybe is use my router and routed a channel from behind so that you just, put one in the hole and then slide the other one in and have it knock into place. But hindsight is 20/20, and I'm not taking, nor can I really can't disassemble this frame. It's like PL together. It would just be absolutely destroyed if I tried to. Yeah, there's just no way. So that is what I'm going to do. What I would like to do first, though, is before committing to that, I want to make sure that this frame with the extra weight of the louvers is going to pin into this and swing out without the whole thing distorting or putting too much pressure on the hinge. Did a little bit of reading. I know piano hinges are pretty strong, and my understanding is, at least from some of the forums that I was reading, if you're going to build, like, say, a big carpenter's cabinet where the doors open up and there's a bunch of shelves on them to hold tools and heavy things, typically piano hinges are what are employed, because although the hinge itself seems like it's thinner metal, it's got all these screws all the way along the way, so it's very distributed along the length. So it's really about the fact that this is just shy of a 5 foot span, and will that hold up under the weight when I swing it out without anything cracking or breaking. So this is what we'll figure out probably ahead of time. I don't want to do all the work and get this set up and have it working nice on the floor and then install it and then have the whole thing go kaput. That'd make me very sad.
Our eyes are closed when we start this loop on repeat. Hear my chest, how it beats when you put your head